All right. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming on a hot sunny afternoon. I know everybody probably wants to be in a swimming pool somewhere because in Huesca right now it's like 30 or 32 degrees. It's wow, it's really hot. I don't know about Madrid, Simon, but in Huesca it's hot.
It's baking. It's sweltering. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we'll get started with the writing webinar, and then I will also be giving some speaking tips when Simon finishes the writing webinar to stay on, and I'll be giving you some speaking tips as well. All right, for everybody. It's just that something I've come up with and a few ideas that I have of my own. Okay, so thank you for coming, and Simon, we can start.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maricel. Hello, everybody. Good evening to you all. My name is Simon Ferdinand, and I'm responsible for the development of the Oxford Test of English in Spain. Okay. And this evening, Maricel and I will be talking to you about speaking and writing in the Oxford Test of English. I'm going to start with writing because there are many things that the two skills have in common in the Oxford Test of English. So the first thing I'm going to do is to try to share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Uh, that's it. Okay. Can we see that okay? Right. Maricel, I can't hear you. You're on silent. You're on mute.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Okay. Thank you. Right. So what we'll do, we'll take a look at writing first of all, and then with Maricel, we'll talk about speaking. Now, in the aims of this session, what we're going to do is present some key concepts, some key ideas about writing and also about speaking, and provide some tips and techniques for improving your writing, which are also relevant to speaking. Now, we'll be looking in the writing section about using functions of opinion, suggestion, and request, and particularly looking at emails, and then about organizing your ideas. Then we'll be looking at the essays, and finally looking at a range of descriptive language for reviews and articles. Now, how does the writing module work? Okay, there are two parts to the writing module. And the first part consists of writing an email. So on the left there, you have an email that you have to write an answer to. And on the right is the email that you have to compose, that you have to write yourself. Now, remember that everybody in the Oxford Test of English gets a personalized exam. So what you'll be doing is not the same question as the other people in the same session. Okay? And in any case, in part one, you have 20 minutes to write an email, and you have to write between 80 and 130 words. Okay, now the instructions come in writing there at the beginning. And in this example, what we have here is you are going to do an English course at a language school. First, read the email from Pablo, one of the students in your class, and then write an email to Pablo, including the 3 notes you have made. So from Pablo, the message says, subject day out. Now here's Pablo's message. Hi, as you know, our course is finishing soon, and I thought we could organize a day out for the whole class. Now here you'll see illuminated, highlighted in pink. It says, what do you think? In fact, there are 3 parts that are illuminated in pink there, you see? And underneath, it says, in a sort of pink fuchsia color, it says, great, because. Now, this is where we want you to concentrate in your answer. So, what do you think? ¿Tú qué piensas? And great because, pues magnífico, porque. So this indicates that you have to say what your opinion is, and you have to respond like this. Very good, because. So you have to explain why. Now, look at the next part. I thought we could either go to the beach or to the museum. Which would you prefer? Say which and why. Can you suggest a good day and time to meet up? Suggest. So you see, it's very clear what you have to do. That's the easy bit, okay? That's reading the instructions. Now, we have to write our response to Pablo there on the right-hand side, okay? As you can see at the top on the right, it says 19:45. That's 19 minutes and 45 seconds that you have left to complete this exercise. And at the bottom, on the left, it shows how many words you've written. So in the Oxford Test of English, you don't need to waste your time counting words like you do with a traditional exam on paper. Okay? Now, this goes up to Oxford and it's marked by examiners there, and we'll look at that in just a moment. Then the second part of writing is a little bit longer. You have 25 minutes to write 100 to 160 words. Here, there's nothing illuminated or highlighted in pink to help you because you've just done that in writing 1. But you do have a choice. You can decide if you want to do an essay or if you want to do something more creative. Now, the essay is very good if you are used to explaining your opinions about things. If you're the type of person who has clear opinions, then you can talk about this. So, for example, the instructions here say you have 25 minutes to write an essay. Write 100 to 160 words. You've been talking about technology in your English class. Your teacher has asked you to write an essay. The title of the essay is Some People Think Using Technology Makes Teenagers Less Sociable. Do you agree? Bueno, algunos dicen que la tecnología hace menos sociables a los adolescentes. ¿Estás de acuerdo? There you go. Now, what do you think? What's your opinion about this? If you are accustomed to explaining your opinion in English in writing, fantastic. This gives you a great opportunity to show how good your English is. But what happens if you're not very inspired by that? Well, then you have the other option, which is more creative. You can write a review of a film or a book or a television series, or instead, sometimes you might have to write an article for a magazine. And that's what we have in this example. What music means to me. The instructions say, we want you to write an article about music. How important is music in your life? What music do you like to listen to? Do you play an instrument or sing? Okay, so here are the instructions, and perhaps the article is a bit more fun, a bit more creative. You choose whichever option you prefer. Now, how is it marked? Well, this is what the examiners are looking for. It's marked by human examiners in Oxford. Now, this is the same for speaking and for writing, okay? In both cases, they're marked by human examiners. In the case of writing, what we're looking for is task fulfillment. Now, what does that mean? It means, have you done the job? Okay, have you got the format correct? The register, is it formal or informal? Is the length correct? Is it between the minimum and maximum number of words? So basically, have you followed the instructions? The next thing we're looking for is organization. This is the coherence and the cohesion. So do all the little bits and pieces fit together? Does it make sense? And does it fit in something big? So that when I read it, it feels natural, it feels good, it feels correct. Grammar, of course. Now here, what are we looking for? A range of structures. Now range, I don't know if you know this word, it means a variety. Okay, it's a bit like envergadura or variedad. Okay, una gama. So a range of structures. So what we're looking for is not simply something that is correct, but also that shows your level. And accuracy of structures. Is your grammar correct as well? So on the one hand, your grammar must be correct, and it must also show the level that you have. And finally, we're looking at lexis. Now, lexis is basically vocabulary with the related grammar around the vocabulary. So here we might be looking at things like using the correct prepositions with the correct adjectives or nouns. So for example, we say something is different from something else, or we say somebody is interested in a particular hobby. Okay, so a range, once again, and the accuracy being correct. So you see, what we're looking for is something that's correct and that demonstrates your level. And this is what the speaking and the writing have in common in the Oxford Test of English. Now, how are they marked? Well, in speaking and in writing, there are teams of examiners, and Can we have the microphones on mute, please? Somebody's got a lot of background noise there in the background.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now part 1 of writing is marked by team 1. And part 2, can we put the microphone on mute, please? Thank you. And part 2 is marked by team 2. Now, each team consists of 3 examiners. So your writing or your speaking may be marked by 1 or 2 or 3 examiners in the first team, and then the second part by 1 or 2 or 3 examiners in the second team. So both in speaking and in writing, your result is the evaluation made by between 2 and 6 examiners. Okay, so it doesn't depend only on 1 or 2. Now, what we're interested in is how can I get a great result? And we've seen there what the examiners are looking for. They're looking for something that follows the instructions, that all fits together, and looks and reads well and sounds good in the case of speaking. The grammatical and vocabulary questions, the grammar and vocabulary, are correct and show your level. So, thinking about this, in writing part 1, we have an email, and what we're looking for here is for you to use functions of opinion, making suggestions, and asking things, asking people to do things, making requests. Now, here is an example. This is a real example of a student from when we first did our testing years ago. Let's take a look at it. The question is this a good response? Why or why not? So the example task says, "Hi, Sam, we're going to a festival next weekend. Would you like to come? We're thinking of going by bus. Is that good for you? Also, what food should we take with us? Do you think the weather will be good? Let me know what you think. John." Now, that is the task. That's the example question. And here is a real example of a response from a student from the first round of our testing that we did years ago. "Hi, John. Nice to hear from you. I would like to go. The bus is okay for me. I'll bring sandwiches. The weather's looking nice according to the internet. Sam." Right. Now, what do you think of this? Bearing in mind that we've been looking at how it's got to follow the instructions, how it's got to be coherent and cohesive, how it's got to be grammatically and vocabulary correct, but also showing the level. Is this, a good response? What do you think? Okay, well, there it is. And here are the answers that I would give on the right. Okay, it's perfectly correct. It's not bad, but it certainly doesn't show a very good level. It answers the questions, and the grammar and the vocabulary are fine. There's no mistake in there, but the email is too short. Okay, the instruction said between 80 and 130 words. This is too short. So this student hasn't followed the instructions. Now, there's a very limited range of vocabulary. This isn't B2 vocabulary. It's not even B1. It's probably A1 or A2. What do we have here? Nice, here, like, bus, sandwiches, weather, internet. These are very basic words, and some of them, like bus, sandwiches, and internet, are even the same in Spanish. So this doesn't show your level. So here's my comment. It doesn't express any requests, any suggestions, any opinions, or any response as fully as the task requires. So if that's not very good, what should Sam have done? Well, here we are. There's Sam's original answer on the left, and this, here we are on the right. What do you think of this as an improvement? "Hi, John. I'd love to come to the festival, thanks. Like you said, I think we should take the bus because it goes straight to the festival site, and the journey's only an hour or so. It's also pretty affordable if we book now. Why don't we take a lunch? We could bring coffee and tea and, for example, some sandwiches. We can buy water when we're there. Would you like to bring some fresh fruit? As far as I can see, the weather will be quite nice, according to the internet. I don't think it will rain." So let's take a look at that. Isn't that much better? Look at this. This is a good response because it uses a range of vocabulary and phrases. This time, Sam is demonstrating his level of English, and this is what you have to do. Okay, so I'd love to come to the festival. Thanks. Like you said, I think we should take the bus because it goes straight to the festival site. The journey's only an hour or so. It's also pretty affordable. How about that? Pretty affordable if we book now. Now, here we've got a conditional. It's affordable if we book now. Here now, we've got a suggestion. Why don't we take lunch? Okay. So what are we doing here? He's making a suggestion. Okay. And he's asking at the end, would you like to bring some fresh fruit? Okay. And at the end, I think the weather will be okay. No, as far as I can see, what a wonderful expression. The weather will be quite nice, according to the internet. I don't think it'll rain. So he's not repeating the words, the vocabulary and phrases from the question. You know, uh, in the question, it said, would you like to join us? He says, I would love to come to the festival. Okay, so using a synonym, using his own words. And with this answer, our student, Sam, is really showing a good level of English. This is what we expect for a B2 in writing. So how has it improved? Take a look at that. Micrófonos en mute, por favor. Gracias. So, hi, John. I'd love to. Look at that. I would love to.
Simon, hi. Inma,
Hey.
thank you, Inma. All right, good.
Thanks. So I'd love to. I would love to come to the festival. Now that's a nice set expression, isn't it? Why don't we take a lunch? So there's a nice suggestion. Would you like to bring some fresh fruit? A good question. As far as I can see, I don't think it will rain. These expressions are great. So here's some tips for you. First of all, look at the question very carefully, whether it's writing or speaking, and we'll look at speaking in a minute. Work out what pieces of information you must include. For example, writing one, it's an email writing task on those 3 things that were illuminated in pink. You must respond to those. Now, the examiner who is marking your answer will want to see that you've completed the task. So if it says, give a suggestion, suggest, well, have you suggested something? Before you press next, before you finish, can you just look again at what you've written to make sure that you really have suggested something? Or if it says, could you recommend a good place to go the weekend? Well, have you recommended? And have you indicated that it's a recommendation, for example? So always, before you finish, look back at the question and those 3 prompts, the prompts are those things that were there illuminated in pink. And make sure that you have done this, okay? So that's the following the questions, that's the coherence and the cohesion, and we've looked at the grammar and the vocabulary to show, what you can do. Now for practice, what you can do to practice is, of course, you can practice with your English teacher in class, but outside class as well. You can try writing an email to a friend, to each other, to students in the same class if you like, and practice including 3 pieces of information. Expressing opinions, making suggestions. Why don't we? How about if? And could you please, would you be able to, for example, to request something? Now use these kind of functions in text messages when you send a WhatsApp, okay? So practice using these. Now, if you feel embarrassed about using them in English, okay, when you're writing these messages in Spanish, think about, what am I doing here? Am I suggesting? Am I requesting? Am I giving an opinion? And how would I do that in English? And remember to check your grammar afterwards, okay? It's not only about grammar. Obviously, your grammar must be correct, okay? Now, in writing part 2, do you remember one of the options was writing an essay? And this is all about organizing your ideas. Now, here's another example for you. This is an essay written by a student called Samir. Okay, let's take a look at this essay. I'll read it to you. People think carefully about the clothes they wear. They want other people to think they look good. Other people might think you look strange and might not want to talk to you. People usually dress smartly for job interviews. Staff who deal with customers usually need to wear clothes of a certain style and standard. Some people worry too much about clothes. Some of my friends spend lots of time shopping for clothes, talking about them, and deciding what to wear. Some people spend too much money on clothes and end up with financial problems. Okay, so here are some questions for you on the right. What do you think of Samir's essay? Is it clear? Is anything missing? What do you think of this? It's not bad, is it? It's okay, but it could be better, couldn't it? I see you agree, Marisol. Right. Okay, so what's the first thing that's happened here from the left to the right? Only one change. Here on the right, Samir has broken the text into 3 paragraphs, 3 separate paragraphs, and already it looks better. It looks better organized. Okay, it's easier to understand each paragraph now on a particular subject. So the first paragraph is an introduction about people and the clothes that they wear. The second one gives us an example. And the third one is personal reflection about my friends and what they do. So Samir's only made a very small change here, but already it's much better. Now, how about this? Which question is Samir answering? Is he answering the question about, do people worry too much about the clothes they wear? Or is it important for people to dress smartly at work? Which question is he answering? A or B? That's right, he's answering A, because although it's talking about clothes at work, Samir is talking about many more things too. Now, let's take a look at how Samir has improved his essay here. Okay, in my opinion, there are good reasons why people think carefully about the clothes they wear. Now, look at that. We begin with, in my opinion, which is a great way to say, I'm presenting an opinion here. Okay, 3 words. In my opinion, there are good reasons why. Now, look at this. There are good reasons why. Be careful. We don't say the reason because. We say the reason why. I know it's not a question, but this is a frase hecha. It's a set expression. The reason why. People think carefully about the clothes they wear. Generally, comma, it's because, and here is a really valuable word, because. And I really encourage you to use the word because as much in speaking as in writing, okay? Because this helps you to continue and to say more things. It also helps the other person, the examiner, to understand your arguments because they want other people to think they look good. Now, what do we have now? If you look dirty or untidy, you know what's coming here. This is a conditional. If you look dirty or untidy, or your clothes are really unusual or old-fashioned, other people might think you look strange and might not want to talk to you. Okay, now take a look at that. That's impressive. That's a conditional sentence. It's also a long sentence. Okay, and here in the middle, Samir has injected really unusual or old-fashioned. And then other people might think you look strange. Now, one of those modal verbs that's really good to use, people might think, okay? Everybody knows how to say people will think or people can think. No, people might think. Now that's showing better level. Now, in the second paragraph, Samir begins with one area of life in which clothes can be important is work. This is terrific because here Samir is indicating that he's talking about work. Okay, one area of life in which clothes can be important is work. And here, what do we have? For example, okay, this is always a good idea. Give some examples, okay, and show that you're giving an example. People usually dress smartly for job interviews. Also, okay, and this is another word that helps you to continue, that gives you an opportunity to say more. Staff who deal with customers. By the way, I haven't indicated this, perhaps I should. Deal with. Do you remember I mentioned lexis, which is the kind of like the vocabulary and the dependent little mini grammar around it? Well, here's an example. To deal with. Okay, that's the correct preposition, to deal with. So staff who deal with customers, que trabajan tratan con los clientes, usually need to wear clothes of a certain style and standard. Look at the next paragraph. On the other hand, Now, that is a wonderful expression. And really, I encourage you to use this in your exam. On the other hand, por otro lado, okay? And just memorize it like one solid block of language. On the other hand, and you can use this in writing and in speaking. On the other hand, some people worry too much about clothes. Some of my friends, for example, and there we have, for example, again, and it's interesting to see how Samir has now moved, for example, into the middle of the sentence. You don't need to put it at the beginning every time. So you're not repeating all the time, for example, for example, for example. Okay. Some of my friends, for example, spend lots of time shopping for clothes. Bum, 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 bum. The problem is this takes time away from other more interesting and useful activities. Look at that sentence. The problem is this takes takes away, which is kind of a phrasal verb, yeah, or maybe even a literal verb. It takes time away from other activities, not just other activities, other more interesting and useful activities. Now, by doing this, Samir is demonstrating the high level of English that he has. Now, in the previous paragraph, we saw also. This time, Samir is putting, in addition to this, wow, look at that. Now you can say this, can't you? All of you could say this. In addition to this, you can memorize that expression. In addition to this, comma, and then we have a final answer. And look what we have when we come to the end. The end of your essay needs to have a conclusion to show the structure, the organization of ideas. So here it begins. To conclude, and that indicates very clearly what we're doing here. We're coming to a conclusion. I think it's important for us to think about the clothes we wear, though, and here we have a nice contrast, it is true that some people do worry about their clothes too much. Now, take a look at that. That's so much better than the original essay that Samir wrote. There was nothing wrong with Samir's essay. It was just one block. It was a bit matacote, and it certainly didn't show that it was organized. It didn't show a structure. It didn't show Samir's English. Now, this shows his level of English. This is fabulous. So that was an example of an essay. Essay questions here at the box are great opportunities for you to demonstrate your ability to organize your ideas effectively and use a range of expressions. Okay, so this is the good thing about the essay, about choosing the essay. Okay, so it's a great idea to organize all of your ideas, structure everything very well. Now, to do this, I would really recommend that you use signposting expressions. Now, signposting comes from the same word as on the road when you're driving, the signpost that shows which way to go. Yeah, Huesca this way, Madrid this way. Okay, so this is signposting. Firstly, this thing. On the other hand, this thing. These expressions, the first advantage is they're perfectly correct. So if you memorize them, you can be sure that what you're writing is correct. Secondly, they indicate where you're going with your argument. So that helps the examiner to understand what it is you're saying. Firstly, on the other hand, to indicate contrast. Additionally, for example, one way of blah, 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 another reason is, and you remember the reason why. Finally, in conclusion or to conclude. Okay, so these are words and expressions that help to guide through your essay. Here's a collection in different categories. So to present your opinion, you can say, instead of I think, I think, I think, and this is the same in writing as in speaking. If you simply say, I think, that's correct. It's perfectly correct, but it's very boring and it doesn't show your level. You can do better than that. So show the examiners that you can do better than that. And here are some suggestions. In my opinion, it seems to me that, or you could even say, many people think that, and that's somebody else's opinion. Now, ordering that signposting, firstly, secondly, one advantage is another advantage. Okay. To expand, to give us an opportunity to talk more, how about these words? Furthermore, moreover, which simply mean also, además. This means that the problem is that, okay, so this now also gives us an opportunity to give an explanation. For example, for instance, both of these are synonymous with each other. Okay, for instance means for example. For example means for instance, exactly the same. Okay, and you can put them at the beginning or in the middle. And contrast. So these expressions, however, or on the other hand, indicate that your argument is changing in the opposite direction. Okay, so Spain is a very hot and sunny country. However, England is cold and rainy. Okay, so this indicates that you're changing the direction of your argument. Okay, and once again, these are set expressions that you can use, and you know that what you are writing is perfectly correct. And to conclude, in conclusion, to sum up, to conclude. Okay, use these expressions, please, in writing especially, but they're also very, very useful in speaking. Okay, and we'll look at that in a minute with Maricel. Now, looking at paragraphs, here we've got some paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a different example. This is about how important it is to have good neighbors. Now, there are paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a look. I think it's really important to have good neighbors. Your neighbors matter because they are the people that live closest to your home. Good. If you have good neighbors, you are less likely to experience problems, such as loud music at night or litter in the street outside your home. So the question here at the bottom is, can you match A to D below with 1, 2, 3, 4 above? So let's take a look at this. We have opinion, example, justification, and reason. Okay, so number 1, what letter do you think corresponds there? Yeah, okay, that's opinion. Okay, and it's logical to start off with your opinion. Say what you think. Don't leave your opinion until the end, like hanging, waiting for somebody to guess what it is. Say your opinion right at the beginning. So essays are about communicating your ideas. Okay, your opinion must be clear. Don't leave it to the end. Number 2 is the reason. Okay, we've said, I think it's important. Logically, the next thing is why. Okay, your neighbors matter because they're the people that live closest to your home. So in the essay, you should give the reasons for your opinion. Okay, and once again, you see here's the reason signposted by because. Okay, because is such a great word. Use because in your writing and your speaking. Now, number 3 is justification. So you've said that's why, because, bum, 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 bum. And here we have a kind of an explanation. This gives something extra support your reason. Okay, it makes your argument clearer to understand. It's more persuasive. Okay, it's kind of like an example or a more concrete detail about that. And here's precisely the example. Signposted by things such as, okay, tales como, tal como. This is a great way of expanding and illustrating what you're saying. Okay, so when you're presenting your opinion, you don't say, I think it's important to have good neighbors. You say, I think it's really important to have good neighbors. Your neighbors matter because they live closest to you. Here's a justification. You see, if you have good neighbors, and some examples at the end. And that is now what we're looking for at a B2 level of writing and speaking. Okay? Now, simple signposts are often more appropriate than complex ones. Perhaps you have seen some expressions in textbooks like, as far as I'm concerned, or perhaps you've seen on the internet, in my humble opinion. Don't use them. Okay, if it's not authentically you, if you wouldn't say that, don't put it. Okay, but signposts that are clear and direct people exactly to your line of thinking, this is what we're looking for. So tips for you. Although you have lots of ideas, you have lots to say, don't try to say everything. Just 2 points which are well explained is better than 4 points which you say, I think bum, 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 and you don't explain why. No, much better to have just bum, bum, and you explain them and you expand them, because that way you show off your English. Otherwise, it's just like a list. So you have limited time and words to write your essay. The good thing with the Oxford Test of English is it does show you how much time you have left and does count your words. Now, also as a tip for you, practice organizing your ideas in everything that you write. So when you write something, anything in English and in Spanish, think about how you're organizing your writing. You can use many of these same techniques of organizing also for the article or the review. And be careful if you're writing an informal email to a friend. So if it's, for example, that email from Pablo about a day out at the end of the course, and it says, "Hi, I thought we could have a day out to finish the end of the course." Don't say, "My dearest friend, Mr. Pablo Delgado, I am writing to you to express my interest in your esteemed proposal for an excursion at the seaside." No, okay, that's perfectly correct English, but it's ridiculously formal for an email. An email is something friendly and chatty, isn't it? Okay. So things you can practice. Try to watch and see and read how writers organize their ideas in English as much as in Spanish. Looking at magazines, blogs, etc. Look how ideas are linked, how they're connected to each other, how the expressions of, on the other hand, for example, because. And one thing that you can do is underline in anything that you read in English, any signposting, any of those little expressions that show where the ideas go. Perhaps you could use some of those ideas that you find in your textbook or on the internet, but only use expressions you can use confidently. If you're not completely sure that this is right, don't use it, okay? And practicing organizing your ideas in essays. This is a great idea in essays that you write, but also in any kind of communication. Practice making the organization really clear, okay? You can find practice test questions online. You can make up your own essays and do try to share this, of course, with your teacher, but share with your friends and your classmates, okay? Look out for these things. The signposting. Have you expanded your ideas? Have you repeated anything? Have you said, I think, for example, for example, for example? And can you see any mistakes in there? And finally, ask someone else to check what you've got. Now, the other part of writing was the creative thing, the review or the article. A lot of the things that we've looked at already, we can also use here as much as in speaking. Once again, I'm going to give you an example of something that's just, well, it's not brilliant. What's wrong with the response below and how could you improve it? Okay. This summer, we went to Australia on holiday. We stayed in a hotel next to a beach. We had rooms with furniture. The restaurant served food and I'll never forget the waiter who served our table. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it from a grammar point of view. The grammar is perfectly okay. The vocabulary is a bit basic, isn't it? Summer, holiday, stay, hotel, beach, room, furniture, restaurant, food, waiter, served table. This is all very, very simple. This is about A2 level of English. If you want to get a B2, or at least a very good B1, you need to do something better than this. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you went to Australia on holiday? That's a fantastic experience. I've never been to Australia. It's the furthest place away from here that there is. This is a really special thing. But I don't feel that this is anything exciting or interesting to read. We stayed in a hotel next to a beach. Okay, yeah, but you can do that in Benidorm. We had rooms with furniture. Well, that's funny. Usually rooms have furniture. I mean, it would be a strange hotel if there was no furniture in the room. The restaurant served food. Wow, how about that? Restaurants normally serve food. And I'll never forget the waiter who served our table. Why? Tell me. Because. Okay, everything is missing. Everything is missing here. Let's take a look at this. This summer we went to Australia on holiday. We stayed in a gorgeous hotel next to a stunning, peaceful beach. We had enormous rooms with elegant, modern furniture. The restaurant served freshly cooked food, and I'll never forget the hilarious waiter who served our table. It was affordable too. What's happened here? How has this become this? What's the change? I'm sure you can see it's adjectives. Yeah, and let's look at those adjectives there. In that text, this summer we went to Australia on holiday. We stayed in horses. Right, we've got the adjective and the meaning here. Okay, meanings for very big, quiet, classic, attractive, made recently, very funny, new, beautiful, very beautiful. All of these words on the right are very familiar adjectives to you, aren't they? You've seen these before. Some of them are very similar to Spanish. There's nothing wrong with them, but let's take a look at the adjectives that correspond. Okay, instead of saying very big, if you know how to say enormous, then say enormous, because enormous shows a higher level of English. Very big is a very basic level of English. The beach was quiet. The beach was peaceful. Oh, now, isn't that great? Peaceful, peaceful. That's a B2 level word, I think. Okay, quiet isn't. Classic and attractive, elegant. Okay, the food was recently made. It was freshly cooked. Now that is a set expression, freshly cooked. The waiter was funny. Okay, but funny is one of those adjectives that everybody uses in English, like nice, funny, good, okay. Right, we can do better than that. He was very funny. Here is an adjective that means very funny. Hilarious. Vamos, que me parto. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, I was laughing so much I was crying. That's hilarious. New. Well, modern. I mean, you know modern, that's very similar to Spanish, but it's much better than new. Beautiful. Everybody knows beautiful. Great, it's a lovely word, but we can do better than that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous is something that's so beautiful, or even somebody that's so beautiful that when you look at them, your mouth falls open. Wow. Okay, it's gorgeous, right? That's how beautiful it is. A gorgeous hotel. When we arrived at the hotel, it was, wow, what a hotel. Okay, this is so much better than beautiful. And here's another one, stunning. The same. Stunning is something just incredibly beautiful. Okay, this is what you need to do in writing and in speaking. Okay, so tips for you. It's not enough to have a B1 or a B2 level. You don't get a B1 or a B2 in the Oxford Test of English because you have a B1 or a B2 level. No, you have to show that you have it, okay? And you have to show that you have it in speaking and in writing. Now, try, please, to expand your vocabulary in class at home and use that expanded, that high-level vocabulary in the exam. Practice saying things like stunning or gorgeous instead of beautiful. Practice saying hilarious instead of funny. Okay, these words really make the difference between a B1 and a B2 level. And when you're writing, often you want to describe something, and this is the same in the speaking. For example, when you need to talk about, for example, you have to describe two photographs, two color pictures. Okay, you'll be using adjectives a lot. Adjectives are the sort of thing that you really need in descriptions. Okay, so look for an opportunity to use them. Now, what we've seen so far is the key concepts and how writing module works, and some tips and techniques for improving your writing. We looked at emails and how to present opinions, suggestions, and requests. We looked at the essays and how important it is to organize very clearly what you're doing. And we looked at a range of descriptive language for reviews and articles. Okay, now, any questions on this part of writing before we move on to speaking? Any questions, anybody, please?
I don't think everybody has any questions. No? Yes? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So no questions about the speaking. Now, about the writing, there is an interesting speaking, sorry. About the speaking, there is an interesting speaking tips that Oxford came out with. They came out with the writing tips, which you have on our webpage, and then they came out with the speaking tips that they also have on our webpage, okay? So all I want to do is just talk to you about how we can just put everything into categories, because when the speaking part begins, it always begins with the same, what's your name? Where are you from? Because the examiners are in England, we explain where we're from. We have 10 seconds to say, right, Simon? Hi, my name is Maricel. I'm from a little town in the north of Spain called Huesca. It's very small and it's only got maybe 45,000. Population is 45,000. Okay, so it's good to express where you're from. You can just say, yeah, I'm from Zaragoza, or I'm from Monzón, or I'm from Jaca, which is fine. But they are in England. They really don't know where Monzón is, or where Jaca is, or where Zaragoza is. Okay, so it's nice to use those 10 seconds instead of just saying, I'm from Huesca, to actually say where Huesca is. Right, Simon? It just shows them your level, you know what I mean? And it just brings it up a little bit. And estás calentando motores. Because questions 1 and 2, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? Pues yeah, you know, it's the other ones that start to begin. And es como calentar esos motores.
Maricel, can I share some slides of to show everybody what the speaking looks like? Yeah.
Yes, which I think is perfect.
Okay, so here we are. And that's it there. Okay, Maricel, do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Over to you.
No problem. I have no problem. We've actually at our school, and I can share this with all our affiliate centers so that all the students can actually get this, is we've come up with, okay, the interview. Now, what happens in the interview? The first 2 questions, what's your name? Where are you from? Okay, next. 3 questions. And they're always going to say, now we are going to talk about friends. Entonces, esas 3 preguntas are going to be about friends. So let's ask ourselves, what do we like doing with our friends? Where do we go with our friends? What's your best friend like? How long have you known your best friend? Simplemente ir por categorías. Holidays, friends. What other ones? We had
Spare time, yep, holidays, hobbies, food, clothes, for example. Yeah.
Exactly, mira. Topic, friends. So what we've done is we've shared just different vocabulary to describe friends. So for example, I'm just going to give you an example. To get on well, to count on. We get-togethers, the get-togethers. We drifted apart, to drift apart, to hit it off. Me and my friend, we hit it off the first day we met. Okay, have a lot in common. So entonces trabajamos el vocabulario de cómo describir a los amigos. That is what we're working on. Okay, describe your closest friend, how important are friends in your life, has a friend of yours ever let you down? Do you think friendship is forever? What characteristics should a very good friend have? Just think about that, okay? And say, okay, here's what we put up.
Okay, so yes, so I have a friend called Maricel. I like Maricel. Much better to say, my best friend is Maricel. I get on really well with her. Then you're showing your B2 level. Yeah.
And then topic, film and books. Okay, romantic, thriller, drama, science fiction, The soundtrack, because we like music that's in film, okay? The plot. There's a good expression that's a tearjerker, but if you need to learn how to use these expressions so that you sound natural, it needs to sound natural. Oh, I watched Eat, Love, and Pray. It's such a tearjerker. I cried the whole film, for example. Okay? The set, the plot, it was amazing. It was good. The storyline, it was gripping. Okay? It was a gripping film. It was appalling. Por Dios, qué horror. You know what I mean? To describe a film or a book that you have read or that you have recently read, that you've enjoyed. Have you ever been really disappointed by a book or a film? Okay, I'm just giving you different types of questions. If you write us an email, I can send you this. Okay, it's not a problem. I can share this with everybody. All right. Then we have, for example, I came up with a topic about dating. I don't think that they're going to ask about this in the exam, Simon, dating.
I don't think so.
Pero bueno, with my students, we came up with dating. Sports.
Mm.
What do you think about risky sports? Do you think they are more dangerous than conventional sports? Why do you think there are people who are hooked on sports? ¿Qué podemos hablar de sports? All the
So-
sports to be addicted to be hooked on, breathtaking because or whatever, or to be keen on. Me encanta esa expresión. En vez de I like, to be keen on. I'm keen on. Acordándonos siempre que después de keen on, vamos con verb ing. I'm keen on swimming. I'm keen on cycling. I'm keen on spending time with my family. It's not a sport, but I like to spend time with my family. Okay? Keen on. Simon, input?
Absolutely, yes. So these are the kind of things that happen in part one, the interview, which is all about you. So yeah, as Marisol says, the first two questions, what's your name? Where do you come from? And then these next questions would be about you, an interview. And these are everyday general topics, unlikely to be dating.
Exactly. And
then
in the Oxford Speaking Tips book, which says, and I opened it up before, and for example, on page 9 and 10, that we can send it, just go to our webpage and you can download it, okay?
Mhm.
So it says, I'm going to ask you some questions about festivals and celebrations. How do people celebrate birthdays in their country? Can you describe a present someone gave you that you really liked? Tell me about an important national holiday in your country.
And one thing that's really important there is you don't need to tell the truth. So if you don't really know.
Quiero hablar del Pilar, pero no me acuerdo. ¿Cómo podría decir el Pilar? Whatever. Christmas is a national holiday.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just getting what you know, what's inside. Okay. The next one. Yeah. Terminamos con holidays y pasamos. I'm going to ask you some questions about free time. Mira, pues ahí estamos for free time. What can you brainstorm about free time? There's sports, there's so many things that we can do in our free time. There's reading, there's watching films, there's sports. Okay, we have to go brainstorm. So that I know the vocabulary that I want to use to express this. You want to and you talk about films. That's fine. Okay, but brainstorm, different vocabulary. Ask your teachers for different vocabulary, just brainstorming about the speaking part. And this is only part one.
Right.
Okay?
This is only part one. Yeah.
And this is only part one. So if I ask Simon, question number 6, I'm going to ask you some questions about your free time.
Okay.
Do you prefer to spend your free time alone, or do you prefer to spend your free time with other people?
Right. Let me think. That's a very interesting question. I think I generally prefer to spend my free time with my family. I have a wife and 2 children, and we like to go out and spend time in the country, going for walks, maybe riding bicycles, things like that. I have to tell you the truth. Although I have a family, we don't have any bicycles, but it doesn't matter.
Why? And then I continue. Do you think you have enough free time?
That's a good question. I don't think anybody has enough free time. There's always so much to do. Yeah, I would like to have very much more free time. I don't have enough.
What did you do last weekend? Pasado.
Last weekend, let me think. I'm not sure I can remember. Last weekend, well, I think it was a fairly normal weekend. We didn't do anything special. Um, on Saturday morning, we all went shopping together. Shopping is a big sort of day out in my family, and we all go together with the intention of buying food, and we end up buying clothes and food and a bit of everything, and spending far too much money.
Okay, so that is part one. Okay, so find topics. And in the speaking tips, está muy bien because it just gives you different topics. Okay, and it talks about family, talks about reading or books, talks about the cinema, films, todo eso. Brainstorm. Si queréis que mandemos algo, we can send this to you. It's not a problem. But brainstorm. Okay, parties. The time. Do you make the best of your time? No? Y ahí ya, vocabulario, to put up something, to cosas así. Right? That's just part one.
Right.
Part two.
Part two. Right. Here we are.
Voicemails. Voicemails. ¿Qué nos pasa con los voicemails? Son audios de WhatsApp que les dejamos a nuestros amigos every day. Every day. You are walking down the, I see people walking down the street doing this. Porque tal, porque cual, chica, después te cuento. Vale, bye, bye, okay. If you can do this walking down the street, you can do this sitting down in the classroom and just listen. The first voicemail, okay, you read. You are going to leave a voicemail message. First, read and listen to the task. Read and listen to the task. Leer. Tenéis la oportunidad de leer. Porque en los dos voicemails podéis leer. A partir de ahí ya no se lee más. Entonces aquí tenemos nuestro momento de to shine. All right? And then decide what you want to say. You have 40 seconds to leave your voice. Start speaking when you hear the tone. Beep. Okay?
And here's the example.
Here's the example. You went to a party at your friend's house yesterday. You left something there. Leave a voicemail message for your friend. And in your message, you should explain who you are. Describe the problem and say what you want your friends to do. Okay? A los alumnos, últimamente lo que les decimos es las tres cosas. Pim, pam, pam. Hi, my name is Maricel. Your friend's house yesterday. Okay, so explain who you are. Hi, my name is Maricel. I was at your house yesterday at a party. Okay. I have left my bag, okay, my swimsuit bag, whatever, in the bathroom behind the door. It's yellow with green stripes. Okay. Could you please send me a text, call me, and I can come to pick it up? Me sobra tiempo. Oh, ya rellenamos con lo que nosotros queramos. Oh, no sé, la cabeza, ¿dónde la tengo? I left the bag and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry if this is an inconvenience for you or whatever. Pero primero, pim, pam, pam, ya. Que nos sobra tiempo. Utilizarlo to your best advantage.
So this is just like the writing task that had those 3 sections illuminated in pink. You have to answer this, this, and this. So in speaking part 2, you have to do the same. As Maricel says, the 3 things. You must answer these. In this example, you must explain who you are. Okay? You must describe the problem. Describe. Okay? And say what you want your friend to do. So that's a request. Do you remember we were looking at requests in writing? Yeah? So could you please, would you be able to, would you mind
with this, how can we work on this? How can we practice this? This is coming up with idea. All right. And your teacher or your study buddy. Busca tu amigo que usted vaya a hacer el examen contigo. That's your study buddy. Chico, mira, situación. Me voy a inventar uno ahora mismo. I was going with my boyfriend on Friday to the beach, but we have to cancel the trip because my boyfriend has had too much work and he can't travel this week. So I have to call the hotel, cancel, say who I am, cancel, and ask if I can get a refund. Si me devuelven el dinero. Ya está. Y se me acaba de ocurrir. Hello, my name is Maricel Rojas. I have a booking for the hotel for Friday. It's going to be impossible. I can't make it. It's impossible. I know it's short notice, but is there a possibility of a full refund or some refund? Or can I change the date? Can I change the date? ¿Vale? Directos al grano. Tan, tan, tan. Y después añadimos.
Okay.
What do you think, Simon?
I think that's bang on. That's perfect. Now, part 1 and part 2 are marked by the first team of examiners in England, 1, 2, or 3 examiners. Like I was explaining, happens with the writing. With writing part 1, that's marked by the first team of 1 or 2 or 3 examiners. Writing part 2 is marked by the second team of 1 or 2 or 3 examiners. The same happens in speaking. So part 1 and part 2 go up to Oxford, and they're marked by human examiners in Oxford who listen to your recording, okay? And they mark you according to your performance, about your grammar, your lexis, how well you've done the task, the cohesion, etc. The requirements are basically the same as with writing. Okay, so you do this, and these tasks are very, very familiar and very realistic, aren't they? These are, as Maricel says, these are things you do all the time, walking down the street, leaving audios.
A dentist appointment. ¿Cuánta gente no ha cancelado una cita al dentista caminando por la calle? O a su madre, mamá, llámame que canceles el dentista, que no llego, que el examen me ha salido fatal y tengo que hacer otra cosa. No, you can call the dentist, say who you are, explain why you can't go, and ask the dentist to give you another day.
One little tip here. When you're explaining who you are, say, hello, Simon here, or Maricel here, or this is Simon, this is Maricel. Don't say, hello, I am Inma. Hello, I am Blanca, because we don't say that in English.
No,
okay, this is Blanca, this is Inma, this is Maricel.
That's Spanglish. Soy
Yes.
Maricel. And we changed it into like English, you know what I mean? And I am, no. Maricel here. Or
Okay.
Maricel here, or whatever. In your voicemail too, this is different because you actually listen to someone leaving you a message. And then you have to respond, and the 3 prompts again. 1, 2, 3, sacamos eso de medio y después rellenamos bonitamente. Whatever else you want. You need to work on this. So the best way to do it, audios, WhatsApp, and don't be afraid to listen to yourself. You are your best judge. You are going to judge yourself. Don't judge too harshly. Too duros, ¿vale? But you are your best judge. Listen to yourself. Speaking part 3. 4 fotos, ¿vale? Tengo que elegir 2. 2, ¿vale? And you have time to think about it. You will now have 30 seconds. 30 seconds to think about what you want to say. So what I said, I wrote this down. Think about what you're going to say. Primera cosa, les digo a la persona the 2 pictures that I'm going to choose. I'm going to talk about science museums and talk about science, whatever. Okay? Hablo de una foto, hablo de otra foto y doy la conclusión de las 2. Okay? ¿Vale? Le digo de lo que voy a hablar. I'm going to say what I'm going to talk about. Okay, one thing is what I'm going to talk about. Next, I talk about one picture, I talk about the other picture, and then I give my conclusion. And you have time for this. You do. You have time for this. You need to work on this. Oh, bye, Karina. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. Karina's leaving. All right, so that is really, es importante. No tenemos que describir lo que vemos en la foto. Esto no es un PET de Cambridge. ¿Ok? No hay que describir ni describir la foto y decir que es una beautiful woman and she is looking up at the sky and she's probably looking at the moon. No, okay? We're talking about using a telescope. We're talking about talks by scientists, science museum trips, and doing laboratory experiments. Okay, so what do you think students, what's your question? Your school wants students to take more interest in learning about science. You are going to give a talk to your English class about different ideas for getting students interested in science. Different ideas in getting students interested in science. No hace muy poco fuiste de la ESO. Okay, y alguna a lo mejor está en first school. What is more interesting?
Okay, yeah.
Students interested.
And I would really recommend that you must remember at all times, this is your opportunity to show how good your English is. Okay, and be personal about it. Say something that's really personal from your heart about you. So if you, for example, as Maricel says, choose the photograph of the science museum trip. Okay, perhaps you remember going to a science museum, and perhaps you say, look, I went to the science museum a lot when I was a kid and I loved it. It was the most fascinating place in the world. Okay, perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps you really thought it was quite boring. You don't need to tell the truth, but look for an opportunity to show how good your English is. Okay, so don't say the science museum was good, it was interesting. No, it was absolutely fascinating. Yeah. On the other hand, however, I think that talks by scientists are a little bit boring because, and there's because again, really useful to use that.
Okay, that's, I mean, it's what Simon's saying, connectors, linkers, use them when we're writing and we use them when we're speaking, okay? Grab a list. Oye, estos linkers me van a ir estupendo, vale, ya. Para no ser tan repetitivo, yo no quiero un and.
Right.
Or, I think. Or, in my opinion. No. And decide, okay, this is what I'm going to use so that I don't sound repetitive.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, don't sound repetitive. Okay, that's great. And then speaking part 4 is preguntas sobre lo que acabas de hablar. So they're all going to be related to the topic you were just talking about. Okay, y estas vamos a empezar tranquilamente y siempre, ¿no? Como que se suben. These speaking part 3, speaking part 4, I call speaking part 3 a golden minute. Tu minuto para brillar. It's your moment to shine. It's 1 full minute de no parar de and just expressing your opinion and what you think, or advantages and disadvantages. También puede tocar advantages and disadvantages. Okay? So that's good. And then in the speaking part 4, what we said with Simon is follow-up questions. Te van a hacer como una entrevista sobre lo que acabas de hacer. Like an interview. All right? Okay? And work on your vocabulary. Sí, puedes estudiar un montón, work on vocabulary. Y esto lo sacaste y por eso Oxford no tiene material específico. You can use whatever book you want to study for this. It's just a matter of sitting down and reading articles, reading magazines, looking at the linkers and the connectors that are being used, listening to people having conversations, doing just different listenings. En nuestra webpage encontraréis toda esa información. Si alguien tiene algo más de lo que aquí he estado comentando, it's not a problem. I can send it to you, okay? But speaking, todo el mundo piensa, oh, ay, por Dios, it's okay. You need to relax, you need to bring it down. Bring it down a notch. Bajamos los nudos, bring it down a notch. And I don't know if any of you have any questions. Any questions? No? Bueno, va a quedar grabado. Okay, so that, yes. Being recorded so that we can actually YouTube channel. We've explained this in our Oxford in Motion in our Instagram, okay, and that you can actually see it. It's not Switch Idiomas Instagram, it's Oxford in Motion. It's just for the Oxford exam. For all our affiliates, for all our students, for the students from our affiliate centers. Remember, if you want anything or if we can help you, we will help you. Or if we can help the affiliate, we will help the affiliate with whatever they need, okay? To help all of you to pass this exam, to get your B1 or to get your B2, or even if it's coming to get an A2, doesn't matter, okay? So good luck on your exams. I know everybody's taking exams next week. It's like we're full, Simon. And all
Excellent.
of the majority of the people that are attending today have their exams next week. And some even have it on Saturday.
Okay. Okay. So, well, from my part, what I would like to say is, okay, the speaking and the writing, the two productive skills, they have so much in common. Okay, what we looked at, we started with writing because really you can see examples there. Okay, and I think you get the idea that both speaking and writing are your opportunity to show how good your English is. Don't worry too much about this. Try and enjoy, particularly try and enjoy the speaking part. Try to think, this is going to be fun too. Okay, and remember that it's a test of your speaking. It's a test of your ability to express your ideas, your opinions by speaking English. Okay, and having correct grammar is only a very small part of that. Okay, the most important thing is just go ahead and speak, and don't worry about it. Don't get frightened or intimidated by the situation. Okay, you'll probably enjoy it. So for me, good luck to all of you, and thank you very much for participating. And thank you, Maricel, for organizing this.
Thank you, Simon, for coming and for making the time. I know that you're also very busy. I've just put in the chat, the Oxford in Motion Instagram account and the Oxford in Motion for the YouTube, where we will be uploading this video. All right. Okay, guys. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good luck,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.